Pardon the appearance. What we've got going on right now is one over towards Yeager. This is a tornado-warned storm, very tiny storm, but packing a punch. And we've got quite a bit of shear rate. That's the alternating wind directions up in the upper atmosphere that these storms are utilizing. So while it might be small, it's making its way across the region at 35 miles per hour. So as we get into the storm that we've got right here over towards Yeager, this is going to be the first one we talk to. So if you have friends or family out towards McDowell or Wyoming County, give them a call, let them know we're breaking into your broadcast here. But Ikes Fork, Yeager, this is for a tornado-warned storm making its way out of Mohawk, working its way towards the east at 35 miles per hour. And it is quite, like I said, packing a punch. Radar indicated, so we don't have any reports out there yet of an actual touchdown, but this is for a precaution. Tornado-warned storm has quite a bit of rotation associated with this as it makes its way across. If I had to put a number or a guess on this, I would say it's just north of Panther as that storm makes its way across. So Panther, Hull, Longpole, Ikes Fork, if you are in the path of that storm, make sure you are getting into your safe place now. Unfortunately, it's not the only one that we've got out there also potentially producing a tornado. This is over towards Buchanan County. That will make its way towards McDowell. This is for War, Height, and Bear Wallow. If you are in that vicinity, make sure you are getting into your safe place as well. This is also a tornado-warned storm. It's all associated of a little line of showers and thunderstorms. They got a little bit of sunshine right before this. And then the storms started to fire up, and there's a lot of turbulence up in the upper atmosphere. So these guys are utilizing that, building up rather quickly and making their way across. No reports of a tornado on the ground just yet, but we have the radar indications of rotating winds at the surface. And that's what we're going to take as a tornado for right now. So again, we're going to zoom this out just a little bit. But if you are in the southern part of McDowell County, over towards War, get into your safe place now. That is the lowest level of your home or basement if you have one. If you don't have a basement, put as many walls between you and the outside as you can, as that is going to be your safest place. Usually it's a bathroom or a pantry. That's going to be that area there. Over towards Yeager, if you're up that way in McDowell County, or if you're over towards Ikes Fork in Wyoming County, that's the storm that we're watching. The storm is just south of Mohawk. It's going to make its way just north of Yeager and work its way towards the east at 30 miles per hour. And that storm is also tornado warned. So 2 storms making their way across. We're going to turn on our radar here so you guys can get a better look at that. But if you have friends or family out towards, like I mentioned, McDowell or Wyoming County, give them a call. Let them know that these storms are making their way across and they should get into their lowest part of their home. Basement, bathroom, or as many walls as you can between you and the outside. Make sure that wall doesn't have a window either. So as these 2 storms make their way across the region, this is what we're going to be watching for that potential of a tornado. But we also have to talk about the fact that it's also a severe thunderstorm warned storm. These are winds in excess of 60 miles per hour, radar indicated, torrential rain, lots of lightning. Our ground is already saturated. We've had rain days and days and days. So you get these 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. You can have some downed trees. That could also cause a problem. You don't need a tornado if you have a tree falling on your house. So just those things alone are enough to get inside. Make sure you're inside away from these storms. These are nothing to really play with when you start talking about 60-mile-an-hour winds. So again, up towards Ikes Fork, Yeager, Hanover. This is that tornado-warned storm. It's making its way just north of Ikes Fork, and that's going to work its way over towards the east, over towards Pineville. It's going to continue to work its way this way at 35 miles per hour. Think about how long it takes to go from here to here at 35 miles per hour. So Pineville, you've got about 15-20 minutes. Towards the south, the storm is located in Dwight, and it's making its way towards War. This is a tornado-warned storm for the southern part of McDowell County, and that will continue to work its way towards the east at about 35 miles per hour. Tazewell County, you now have a severe thunderstorm warning for your county, and then I'm going to say it goes until about 1:30, and that is for another part of this storm that's making its way across, and it's a pencil-thin line of thunderstorms making their way across the region. Could it produce a tornado in Tazewell County? Yes, we have the ingredients there needed. We have the shear rate that is opposing wind directions in the upper atmosphere, and if you get a powerful enough storm that's had some energy pumped into it via some sunshine, which we've had, you get those circulating winds that are going horizontally through the atmosphere to be thrown upwards, and up down is that tornado. So that's what we're going to be watching for. This is what we were kind of talking about this morning. We had a small 2% chance of a tornado. Pick a point on the map, you have a 2% chance of seeing a tornado. For the folks in Welch, Gary, War, over towards Yeager, that's your 2%. So it doesn't have to be very high for this to make its way through. Again, call on your friends and family, make sure they're doing okay. If you are in the vicinity of Yeager, if you're in the vicinity of War, if you are in southern McDowell County, Bradshaw, make sure you're getting into your safe place now. Again, I'm going to say this over and over again. It is the lowest point of your home. That is where you need to be. If you have a basement, perfect. That's the best place to go. If you don't, find the lowest level in the most interior part of your house, usually a bathroom or a pantry, anything like that. Just put as many walls as you can between you. Do not be outside during these. If you are stuck in a car, the worst place you can go is under an underpass. The best place you can go if you're outside is a ditch. That's the best place. Get to the lowest part of the ground as you can. These both storms are making their way across towards the east at 35 miles per hour, will continue to do so. And they have that energy, so they could hold together, at least as a severe thunderstorm warned storm with 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, torrential rain as well. That's going to cause some street flooding out this way. We'll have to watch our smaller creeks and streams and those backflow areas, especially for some flood risks as our ground is already saturated. Taking a look towards Richlands and Tazewell, this is for this particular line that's going to make its way through. The idea here from the National Weather Service is to keep an eye on this cell as it makes its way across, because we've got 1, 2 already as tornado warning, and then we've got a third one towards the south, over towards Richlands. That's making its way from the west to the east, and that's going to do so again at 35 miles per hour. So as both of these make their way through, if you're over towards Pineville and Mullins, I would be keeping a very close eye on this guy. If you are in War or Gary or Welch, I'd be keeping a very close eye on this guy. War is about to get smacked with that one. That's a tornado-warned storm. So if you are in downtown War or anywhere close, I would get to your safe place now. Remember, we don't have a whole lot of time. Once a tornado warning is issued, it's usually a general average of about 13 minutes before you can see that storm make its way across. Richlands, I would keep a very close eye on that guy, as it is a severe thunderstorm. That's 60 mile an hour winds. Elsewhere across the region, there's not much going on other than some rain showers, but these two storms are very important for what we might see area-wide. We had a little bit of sunshine once we got to about the 11 o'clock hour. We had our first round of rain around 11 a.m., and that's made its way over towards Monroe and Pocahontas County, Greenbrier County has worked its way out. We got a little sliver of sunshine, and then this little sliver of shower activity, storm activity, made its way to us, and now is utilizing that little bit of energy. So once we get that to move its way over, if we see another pencil-thin line of sunshine, we can have the potential for another strong storm. And that was today's severe weather threat. Isolated, but it was going to pop up where we had that available energy. We're just that primed for it. So that's going to be where we are for the rest of the afternoon. For those that aren't seeing anything right now, if you're wondering why I'm on your TV screen, it's solely for the folks in McDowell, Wyoming, and Tazewell County. This is for that tornado warning that is making its way through not only McDowell, but also Wyoming, and Tazewell now has that severe thunderstorm warned storm making its way across, utilizing the atmosphere and the conditions that it has to bring us the tornado potential. So this is where we're going to be looking for the boxes, the polygons. See the red box right there over towards Yeager, the box over here towards Bradshaw. That's what we're going to be watching for to shrink. And as that one up towards McDowell County shrinks, as the one towards the Wyoming County line starts to shrink, it lets us know that the National Weather Service is seeing that it's starting to weaken, and that's good too. That's some good news, but it's still a strong storm. Even without a tornado, you talk about 50 mile an hour winds, you could have some problems since our ground is already saturated. The rainfall rates of today with these particular two is going to be pretty impressive. You're going to pick up about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of rain rather quickly, and that can cause some issues as well. So as we bounce back over to our reflectivity, or our base rate, this is our winds velocity, we're seeing winds in excess of 50 miles per hour. The nice thing is we're not seeing that rotation with this one up towards McDowell County. We are seeing it with this one in near War, but remember our radar in Charleston is down for repairs. We're utilizing the one in Jackson, so we're looking at this in a different way. So that's going to give us some ground clutter that we're going to have to watch out for too. So right now it looks like we have a little bit of rotation, but a strong wind gust, and that's that 50, 60 mile an hour wind gust. So even without the tornado making its way across, we still have some issues there. So this is going to make its way over towards southern parts of McDowell County. War. You guys are up on this one that's making its way to you. Then we have this one over here that's going to make its way across towards the Yeager area. That's going to make its way towards the east at 30 miles per hour. Again, if you are in those two regions, make sure you're in the bottom level of your home. Mullins, you're going to be up next. Bluefield, Princeton, I'd keep a close eye on this one. If it's able to hold together, even though you guys have been in cloud cover for the last 30 minutes, we will have to watch this one make its way across towards the east as well. So I-77 is going to be impacted with this one by about another 40 minutes or so. But again, as this line makes its way across, it's very small. We're going to go back to our radar here and zoom out a bit. It's not the entire region that's dealing with this, but it gives you that glimpse, that window into what's going on in the atmosphere today. That little bit of sunshine that we saw, these storms are utilizing that energy rather quickly too. Really just flared up as it made its way to the West Virginia state line. We've got this line over here too. A little bit of sunshine in front of that. We could boost the energy of these storms just enough. So Oak Hill, Beckley, Summersville, we can have some strong storms with that one. It's going to be small, it's going to be impactful, and it's going to be over rather quickly, and that's at least good for us. The whole system itself is all thanks to an area of low pressure that is spinning over towards Huntington and working its way over towards Ohio, just utilizing the atmosphere that we have. So as that continues to work its way out, we're going to be stuck with this pattern for a little while. Then the sun will start to set and we'll lose that energy and we'll have to worry about the flood risk. That is something we're going to be dealing with all the way through until Saturday. So again, we have a lot of risk for today, but our focus right now is for our friends and family and relatives and strangers in McDowell, Wyoming County. That's the two tornado warning storms we have making their way through, again, moving their way towards the east at 35 miles per hour. And this is for the Yeager area. That's where that center is making its way through. And then as you make your way towards the south, we have the War area. That's the issue that we're going to see there. So that continues to make its way towards the east. We're looking for some areas that may seem to weaken. And like I said, we have that base velocity where we are still picking up winds of 40 miles per hour with those particular cells making their way through. But the good news, shall we? We need some good news anytime we have these bad weather situations. The severe thunderstorm warning out towards Gilbert was allowed to expire. This polygon is starting to shrink, not seeing much in the way of rotation with that one anymore, but it's still going to be packing a punch. Again, I'm going to reiterate this because I think it's going to be our biggest problem through the entire day. Our ground is saturated, our winds are going to get elevated, and that can cause some issues too. A downed tree that's been in your yard for 60 years can still cause some issues for you. That's something to watch out for. If you're over towards War, this one is not slowing down, so that one's got a little more energy to work with. That one is going to be the one to work its way over, so I would keep a very close eye on that one. The center of rotation here, making its way up towards War and Berwind, that is going to be the area next for the most potential of seeing that tornado. If you are in that area, if you have family in that area, give them a call. Let them know that this storm's coming. It's moving at east 30 miles per hour, 35 miles per hour, and it's going to pack quite a punch, even if we don't see the tornado, right? Discount that entirely. You're still talking those 50 mile an hour winds. You're still talking about torrential downpours. You're talking about an area that likes to flood. Think back to February, right? This is the area that we've already had some of that lingering mist and drizzle. We've already had some of the issues with the high water concerns on the road surfaces. Now our ground is saturated, we're going to dump more rain on top of that. So that's going to be the issue there. But this is just a snippet of things to come. This is what we're going to be doing, zooming out across the entire region. You get that little bit of energy, that little spark of sunshine between each round of these thunderstorms, and it's going to utilize that energy. And then it gets a thunderstorm to push up into the upper atmosphere where we've got those differential winds and we start to get that uplift, and that's where we start to get the rotation in these thunderstorms. We got to get them to build up. The thing is, this guy didn't have a whole lot of time to build up. It happened that fast, and that's what we're going to see across the rest of the eastern side of the state as this makes its way over. So right now, again, This is for the Yeager area, and this is for the War area, where we have 2 tornado-warned storms. Towards the south in Tazewell, while not tornado-warned, it's part of the same complex, the same line, and that line is making its way across. So Richland's getting hammered right now with some of those downpours, lightning, thunder, and of course those 50-mile-an-hour winds possible with that severe warned storm making its way across. And you know our motto, and I know a lot of you are probably upset that we're cutting into your soaps, but our motto is to be here until the threat is over. So if you have friends in McDowell County, if you have friends in Wyoming County, if you have friends in Tazewell County, make sure they're keeping an eye out, because if this was happening in your neighborhood, you'd want us here too. So that's what we're going to do for our friends in War. We're going to make sure that we are staying on here to let you know when the threat is over. Right now, the storm is right over top of War, making its way towards the east, up towards Yeager, north and east, just slightly. As it makes its way over towards Pineville, that storm is making its way across. It is now making its way just west of Pineville. I'd say another 10 or 15 minutes we'll see it make its way towards Pineville. And that one is a tornado-warned storm. No confirmed reports of a tornado just yet. I wouldn't want anybody in that situation to be outside taking pictures anyway. We will do fine with our radar, I promise you. But this is what it's going to be doing, making its way towards the east. And if you are in the vicinity of this storm, McDowell County, Wyoming County, I would take yourself to the lowest point of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside, or get into your basement. These are not something to play with. I know it's cool to go out and see weather and it's full fierce, but when you're sitting underneath it, it's not the greatest place to be outside. Be inside as these storms make their way across. So again, we're going to zoom out just a little bit and give you that idea that we've got 3 counties. This is from McDowell, Wyoming, and Tazewell County as this little line makes its way through. And that is for a tornado-warned storm here in southern Wyoming County, a tornado-warned storm here that is currently making its way through War, and then Tazewell. Richlands has a little energetic thunderstorm making its way through. Just a pencil-thin little line making its way through, utilizing that sunshine we saw earlier. Over towards Princeton, Athens, I-77. That's where this is going to eventually make its way to, and I would suspect that we are going to deal with those strong winds as it does. So if you're over towards Matoka, if you're over towards Bramwell, if you're over towards Princeton, this is where that storm is going to make its way to next. Mullins, if you're up towards Flat Top, where we are here located at the station, that's going to make its way over. And it's just a good idea to be in your place, right? We have a plan in place during the day when we start talking about watches, we start talking about the prospect of severe weather. Have that plan. What would you do right now if a tornado was coming for you? Then you start to put that plan in place. So if you're up towards Mullins, Flat Top, if you're in Matoka, Princeton, Bluefield, if you're in Tazewell, this is kind of the time to put that plan in place because the storms are coming your way. 35 miles per hour towards the east is where they're progressing, and that is something we're going to be watching for. The nice thing is we haven't seen these warnings expanded over towards the east. So War right now getting hammered by that particular cell. I would suspect that we've got a pretty good core on that one. That one looks decent, if you will. So very heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning, a lot of wind. The sky probably looks pretty nasty out that way. And as you work your way towards the south a bit, Richlands, you guys are dealing with your own little storm, not tornado warned, but still making its way across, pushing those 50, almost 60 mile an hour winds, radar indicated. And as we jump back up towards the north, as we make our way right into McDowell County, that's where we're going to have those issues. I think this is the strongest of the 3 that we've got going on right now, but again, making its way towards the east. One more time, we're going to switch off here and give you an idea of just exactly the rainfall totals that we've got across the region with these particular cells that are making their way across. And you're going to get a good dousing of rain. So remember, our ground is already saturated. And this is true for everybody. So even outside of the tornado-warned storms that we've got 2 here, even outside of that, our ground is already saturated. So we're going to have some issues with flooding. So this is a good indicator. War is a good indicator if you're up towards, say, Beckley. If you're over towards Lewisburg, we have the same ground setup. We're all saturated. We've had a lot of rain over the last couple of days. And any one of these little thunderstorms that makes their way across, they're just going to dump a lot of rain on top of you. And as it does, we're going to have some street flooding. We're going to have to watch our smaller creeks and streams. That's why we have those flood warnings or flood watches in effect, for Nicholas and northwestern Pocahontas County until 2 a.m. So this is just something we're going to have to put up with for the next few hours. But hopefully we don't have too many more of these, right? The tornado warning over towards Wyoming County, or the tornado warning now making its way through War. As we go back to the radar, there we go. Chief Meteorologist Joe Fitzwater manning the computer back there for me and doing a fine job anticipating my needs. But this is where we're going to see these storms continue to work their way towards the east. So Bramwell, Matoka, Basin, Mullins, as you get up towards Flat Top, as you get up and towards Beckley, this line is going to continue to work its way towards the east about 30 miles per hour, 35 miles per hour, and that's where we're going to be. So if you are in that area, have friends or family in that area, make sure you're letting them know that these storms are coming and they're not something to work out or mess with. As we take a live look across the entire region using our national radar, since our Charleston radar is down, we have a little bit of an issue here, but that is where we're going to be. Not much going on, well, outside of McDowell, Wyoming, and Tazewell County, right? And that's kind of the setup that we're going to be seeing. So this is that 2 o'clock line that we were talking about making its way from the west to the east. That's that second line of thunderstorms making their way through. Utilizing the little bit of sunshine that we saw, we'll get a bit of a break, and then we'll have another round making its way through. And it's all thanks to an area of low pressure way up towards Ohio. And as long as we have that guy there, we're going to continue to see this pinwheeling effect, and that's going to start to bring in some of that colder air from the north and west. And today, our winds right now are out of the west. That's why our storms are going from west to east, and that's where we're utilizing some of that energy. As we get into the later afternoon, our winds start to pick up, and they're going to be jumping 25, 35 mile per hour wind gusts, but they're going to be doing so out of the north and west as this area of low pressure tracks towards the east. And as a subsequent afterthought of this area of low pressure, it starts to pull in drier air too. Colder air is much drier just in general. So as that happens into our night, we're going to see our severe weather threats diminish some. And that's going to at least be helpful for us to get a little rest. But remember, our flood risk goes until 2 a.m., especially for Nicholas County and northwestern Pocahontas County. So we're still not quite out of the woods yet. And that'll be the thing that we have to watch out for. Winds and high water, especially with the showers we'll continue to see. This is just what we're seeing right now for the afternoon. As long as we have the solar energy, as long as we have that energy from the heat, this is where we're going to see that. So McDowell County, that's some good news right there. See that? As we zoom in towards War a bit, we're seeing that tornado warning expire, but that is still a powerful storm making its way across. So if you go over towards War, you don't need me to tell you that it's storming pretty bad right now. But over towards the Tazewell County state line, as you get towards Bluefield, over towards Mercer County, that storm's going to continue to make its way across. Richland's dealing with that thunderstorm as well, upwards of 50 miles per hour. And one more time up towards Yeager, if we take a live look up at that one. Again, the storm itself working its way towards east. Pineville, we're about on the outskirts of that one. So you guys are starting to see some rain in Pineville. It's getting a little loud off towards the west, and that storm's going to make its way over too. That one looks to be pushing out on the severe or the tornado warning there. So at least that's helpful, but we still have that little rotation there. You can see that here as the storm enters Pineville. You have this inbound, outbound. So inbound is green, outbound is red, right? And that just means where they're going towards the radar site. Right now we're using Jackson, so the storm winds are being tracked this way and this way. Towards, we've got upwards of 40 and 50 mile an hour winds. Away, we've got 30 mile an hour winds. So at least that's helpful to give us an idea that if a tornado is pushing its way through, it's a small, weak one. So at least that helps us out, right? It's no good to see these things, but at least it's not the huge ones that we see on social media and the news all the time about out west where they get the EF3s and 4s. Nobody wants to see that around here. But again, if you're over towards Pineville or just south of Pineville in those rural areas, you may not know it's coming because of the mountain ranges out that way, right? You got those big rolling hills. So if you have friends out there, just let them know. It might look okay now, but you got a storm on the other side of that ridge line making its way across. Very loud too with lightning. Down towards War. So take a live look at that one as well. That one's good thunderstorm right there. It's got a nice core to it. So that's going to be a lot of wind and a lot of rain too. So we're going to be watching that as well. But again, the winds pushing upwards of 50 miles per hour can still cause some issues with the ground being so wet anyway. We can have those down trees. And we've got a lot of trees out this way too. 57 mile per hour towards the radar. That is going this way. The out or away from the radar site, looking more along the lines of about 35, 40, and that is going to be that differential. rotation. That's why that storm there is tornado warned as it makes its way through Berwind and over towards the east. So that one at least looks like it's wrapping up the threat there. But again, towards the south, Richland and Tazewell County, we have that severe thunderstorm warning. So 50-mile-an-hour winds. And again, we are here until the threat is over. On these tornado warnings. We've got this little sliver of McDowell County towards War that is now still tornado warned. We'll see if they carry that over towards the east. The one up towards Pineville is going to be slowly exiting the warned region here soon. If they don't carry that over, I'm going to suspect they're going to let that one expire as well. But Pineville getting in on some heavy rain right now, and then eventually some downpours with that cell itself making its way across towards the east. Mullins, you'll be up next on that one, and then eventually make its way over towards Flat Top. The one in War is making its way to Filbert, and it'll eventually work its way over towards the east, just graze Bluefield, and then over towards Princeton. And then, of course, we have the one in Richland that'll make its way over towards Tazewell. So we've got some areas out there that are going to have some issues, even after all of this moves its way through. If you are in those areas, just know even after the rain ends, we can still have some issues with the flood concerns, the pooling, the water coming off the hillsides. Back in February when I went out to McDowell County, it was days after all of that rain and the water was still pouring off of the mountainsides. Those mountains love to hold on to water, and it can take some time for it to all pool into the lowest spots, and it's usually the creeks. So we have a general rule in meteorology: after rain, flash flooding can happen up to 6 hours after the rain stops, and it just takes that long sometimes for the water to come out of the ground. But two of those tornado warned storms making their way across, again, McDowell County, Wyoming County, Pineville is going to be the one that gets that storm next. Towards War, that storm is making its way towards the east, and it does look like, if I had to guess, the National Weather Service is going to let those two expire. They haven't made them towards the east any further. The rotation that's with those storms is generally pretty tight around the core itself, which is a good indicator that you may have some problems. What we want to see is the darker, this is red, but darker area and the green to kind of separate a little bit. And that gives us that idea the storm is winding itself down. But still, when you talk about 50-mile-an-hour winds, even if it's not rotating on the ground, even if you don't have a tornado, 50-mile-per-hour winds can still cause some damage out there. Like I said, if you have a big, huge tree in your front yard, it's been there for 60, 70 years, your grandpappy put it in, and it's blowing around in the wind at 60 miles per hour and it falls down on your house, that can cause some issues too. So it's not just because the tornado isn't on the ground, it's also because there's other things going on. So make sure you're in your home until this storm makes its way across. Like I said, it's going to be making its way over towards Bramwell and eventually Mercer County as it makes its way across. That's for this side. And then the one in Pineville will continue over towards Mullins and then work its way over towards Flat Top and Gent and work its way over towards the east. So there we go. The things we love to see in the Weather Lab. The tornado warning for McDowell County, the tornado warning from Wyoming County have been allowed to expire. Kind of saw that one coming, didn't we? And then the one in Tazewell is towards the south. That is going to be making its way towards Tazewell itself, and that is a severe thunderstorm warned storm with radar indicated upwards of 60 miles per hour. Since our tornado warnings have come to an end, we're going to bring an end to our live coverage and breaking into your programming. We're going to return you now to your regularly scheduled broadcast, meteorologist Bradley Wells for 59 News. Works its way towards the east. It's running about 30-35 miles per hour towards the east. The winds are radar estimated about 50-60 miles per hour, and we saw that with some rotation there. I would suspect that the area that we're watching for is right about here. And if we can zoom in to where we just had that, it is just south of Ebert and Filbert and Inault. And this is going to make its way this way. So that's not a great sign either for our friends towards the east. This is Pocahontas, Bramwell, as you get up into Mercer County. That continues to make its way through. It's got a good signature to it, so I would say if you are in the path of this storm, if you're in the southern part of McDowell County, southeastern McDowell County, if you're in northern part of Tazewell County, where we all meet up with Mercer County, this is the area to be concerned with because it does show a really good sign of having some potential issues. Again, we don't have a report of a confirmed tornado on the ground, and again, I don't want one. So if you are in the area, don't be outside filming it with your phone. Social media can wait. Get into your home and stay there. That's the best place to be. If you have friends or family down that way, give them a call and let them know the storm is coming, especially if you're over towards the southwestern part of Mercer County. This is where that storm's going to be working towards its way next. Northern Nicholas County, northern Tazewell County in Pocahontas. That's where we're going to see this storm make its way through. So if you have friends down that way, just know that you've got this storm making its way through. So again, this has been a little energetic storm that we've been watching since Pike, Kentucky, over towards the west. It's worked its way to us. It flared up as it made its way over towards the border there at Panther and McDowell County, Wyoming County, and continues to work its way across that little line right here. So pretty energetic up towards McDowell County. That storm made its way through Pineville. Then we had War get hit with this one as a tornado warning storm. It kind of dialed down a bit and then came right back. So the National Weather Service putting that tornado warning on that one. And then Tazewell, seeing that storm making its way through. So it's pretty loud, pretty wet in Tazewell right now as that continues to make its way across. Our Princeton camera is one too far away and points in the wrong direction to really see anything of that. I don't believe we have any cameras out that way. I know Virginia 511 does. They follow 460, but that doesn't go over that way either. So right now it's only the radar that we have to really let you know that this is coming. Our Charleston radar is down, but our Jackson radar is up and running, and Blacksburg is up and running. And that gives us the idea. We're not down and out, right? We're not blind out there. We do have that radar, and the radar indicates that we have the potential for a tornado. Rotating winds in excess of 50 miles per hour in opposite directions gives us that idea that the storm has some rotation. Shear rates are being utilized in the upper atmosphere as these storms build up. It throws all that moisture up, and then the wind starts to rotate and change, and we start to get this right here. So you can see the winds here and the winds here. The darker color is away from the radar site. The brighter colors are towards the radar site. The closer the two dark and bright colors get together, the tighter that rotation is. The tighter that rotation is, the more probable of a tornado making its way through. So this is going to continue to work its way to the east. It's got the good signature. It's got a good line. So it's something to watch out for. This is for that storm making its way over towards Pocahontas, Bramwell, and then it'll roll its way into Mercer County. So if you are, say, north of Bluefield, you're going to get pretty loud here, but I would keep a very close eye on this one. The thing about tornadoes, if one does actually form, and the storm itself has that, they tend to wobble a bit. So I wouldn't say, hey, the radar is going to go right due east and I'm okay. If you are in Bluefield, even though you're towards the south of the storm, I would keep a close eye on that one anyway. If you were up towards Princeton, this one's coming at you. It might veer off a little bit by the time it gets to you, but I would keep a close eye on this storm as it makes its way across. And we've got a lot of folks in Princeton, right? We've got a lot of folks in Bluefield. And as this storm makes its way across, we have to have a lot of folks in their safe places now. Gas stations, if you're at the hotel, if you are out and about, make sure you are knowing where to go, right? We have a lot of storm centers in the region. Truck stops are usually dedicated as a indoor storm shelter. National parks, state parks have their own dedicated ones as well. But if you can't find any of those, any store you can get into the center of the store, put as many walls between you and the outside, put as much distance as you can, and that's your safe place well. These are kinds of things that we always say during Severe Weather Awareness Week. Make sure you have those plans in place. Well, it's great when you're at home and you can say, oh, I'll just get in my basement. But if you're out and about, what do you do? Right? If you're at Walmart, what do you do? Well, you get into the center of the storm, or you get into an area that has as many walls between you and the outside. Usually a reinforced wall, because most storms are made out of aluminum nowadays. But that's kind of the idea of when these storms make their way through. Bluefield, Pocahontas. If you are up towards northern if you're up towards northern Tazewell County, if you are over towards the eastern McDowell County, over towards the county line with Mercer County, that's the area that has the best potential of seeing a tornado. That is a pretty good tight cluster of those rotating winds we were showing earlier. So that's going to make its way across. It is a tornado warned storm for McDowell County. It will enter northern Tazewell County and make its way over towards southwestern Mercer County, over towards Bluefield, making its way across. So again, even without the tornado, let's discount that for a minute, right? Even without that, we're still talking 50, 60 mile an hour winds. We've had a lot of rain over the last couple of days. May not have seemed like it, but it's been raining for hours and hours and hours across days and days and days, that light, misty rain. And that has been allowing our grounds to become saturated. our grounds become saturated, our roots and our trees can't hold on to the ground as well. So when we start talking about a thunderstorm making its way through, we start seeing these winds sway those trees. Well, now they're trying to hold on with all of their might to this soft, soggy ground, and they can't do it. So even without the tornado threat, we have a lot of trees in the area. 50, 60 mile an hour winds, you can still have a tree topple down on top of you. If you're trying to beat or rush out ahead of the storm, you may not be able to because tree falls. Power outages are probably likely. Now we have Mercer County under a severe thunderstorm warning until 2:30 p.m. That's for the entire county, but I would suspect it's for this particular cell, making its way across from Bramwell to Princeton. So if you're over towards that region, I would keep a close eye on it. Again, this is a tornado-warned storm. I'm going to say, yes, it's going to be exiting the warned region here in about 5 minutes, but just like we saw over towards War, where they allowed it to expire and then brought it right back again, we're going to stay on your TV screens just a little longer. But this is for a tornado-warned storm in McDowell County. It has that signature for rotation. So if you are, let's say, just southeast of Bramwell, if you're over towards Pocahontas, this storm is going to continue to work its way this way, State Route 659 and just north of State Route 644. So this is Tazewell County, this is McDowell County. And that's the area we're going to be watching this work its way across. So folks in Bramwell, you've got about 5-10 minutes tops before this storm is on top of you. And then such, it is going to be bringing quite a bit of punch. And this is even without the tornado threat. This is just the wind itself. Now on the backside of this entire pencil-thin line of thunderstorms that we've got, this is where we start to see our winds really start to ramp up. As the area of low pressure up towards Ohio really starts cranking, really starts to get closer to the region, making its way up through the Ohio River Valley, it's going to continue to pull in some of those stronger winds. We've got differentials of pressure too. We have an area of high pressure farther out towards the west. And as this entire system works its way through, it's just ramming through all of that wind. We're going to see westerly winds upwards of 30 to 35 miles per hour this afternoon for all of us, not just the pencil-thin line that we're seeing make its way through Mercer County, McDowell, and Tazewell County right now. We're going to get multiple ones. You can kind of see the progression. The area of low pressure up towards Ohio kind of spins around, and it's going to throw these arms of showers and thunderstorms. We saw that first one around noon. This is that second one that's making its way through. We'll have a third one right behind that, and in between each one of these is a little bit of sunshine, and that little bit of sunshine that we're going to see is just enough energy to do something like that. And that's what we're going to be watching for the rest of the afternoon. So right now we're picking on McDowell County, we're picking on Tazewell County, we're picking on Mercer County. That doesn't matter right now, because later on this afternoon it might be Summers County, it might be Monroe County. It's just a matter of where that sunshine sets up. Today is a good day to stay weather aware, just for the momentary inconvenience of a small, tiny little storm making its way across. It's not for the entire region all at once, like we see with a cold front, but this is what could happen. So there's something to watch out for. Again, Bramwell is up next. This is where that storm's making its way to right now. And this is for the southwestern side of Mercer County. That's going to be making its way across. Very energetic, even without the tornado threat. Very strong winds associated with a storm like this can still push 50, 60 miles per hour, can still cause some issues with downed trees, and not to mention the amount of water that comes with it. Even though it's just a small, tiny little storm, we've had this over top of saturated grounds. So as this continues to work its way to the east, we're just dumping a lot of water. And eventually, all that water's got to go somewhere, right? And it's usually the lowest spot. For a lot of us, that's the roadways, that's the streams, that's the swampy areas that we have in some of the backwaterways of our creeks and streams. That's what we're going to be watching for after the storm makes its way across for some of that flood concern. Now, flooding is going to be something that we watch for area-wide as well. We already have flood watches in effect for Nicholas and northwestern Pocahontas County until 2 a.m. tonight, and that's for those two areas there. We're just going to see that much rain to have some issues, runoff and such like that. As we take a little look at this little line that's making its way across, it's part of the same setup as this one is. It's just not as energetic, but I would still suspect that we're going to have some issues with that one. That one's for western Raleigh County and Oak Hill. This is for Fayette County. So as that makes its way across, I would say keep a close eye on that one, friends, up towards Fayette and Raleigh County. And then, of course, with some lightning and downpours, we may have some street flooding there as well. If you guys will bear with me for just a moment, we've got that tornado-warned storm in McDowell County again, so the folks in Bramwell are going to be making that storm make its way through and work its way towards the east, towards Princeton. So Princeton right now under a severe thunderstorm warning, as well as Mercer County. But it's all for that storm right there, making its way towards the east. If you're in Bramwell, if you're in Bluefield, I would say out of precaution, just get into your lowest safe spot right now. Again, the National Weather Service is allowing this storm to make its way out of that warned area. The warning is actually from McDowell County. The storm is now making its way into Mercer County. But just like we saw with the tornado warning that was in War, we're not going to let our guard down on this one just yet. We're going to stay on just for a few minutes longer as we come up on the time for that tornado warning to expire. But if you're over towards Freeman, as that makes its way across over towards Princeton and you get to Glenwood, this is where that area is going to see that storm make its way across. So just about east-northeast as that storm makes its way across, about 30, 35 miles per hour. We can get an idea of just when you'll see this one, Bramwell 139. So that's about, 5 minutes from now? And that makes its way to you. So outside of that tornado threat, you're still talking 50-mile-an-hour winds, you're still talking torrential downpours, and it's part of a little line. So even towards Tazewell, that's going to make its way across. Now you've got Bland, and Giles will eventually be part of this as well, as that makes its way towards the east. So you can kind of get the progression. Even outside of a tornado threat, the winds are still elevated with the storm. It's not going anywhere. So as that pushes way towards the east, we still have those 15-mile-an-hour winds. Princeton getting in on some light rain now. I bet you if we bring up the camera there, we'll start to see some rain showers showing up along 460 just there at the I-77 interchange. That camera is going to get pretty energetic here in about 10-15 minutes as that storm makes its way across. There's that element of sunshine I was telling you about, just a little bit. And these storms are going to be able to utilize some of that. But look at that coloring. That is some neat coloring with those clouds. Let you know that the atmosphere above us is getting quite saturated. I wouldn't be surprised to see some photos out of Mercer County of mantis clouds. Those are those big bubbly clouds that usually come up underneath the anvil of a thunderstorm. Just let you know that the atmosphere is that rich in moisture. It's a very heavy rain that's associated with those thunderstorms. That's a good indicator of that right there. But overall, this is for that tornado warned storm that is in McDowell County, crossing the border over towards Bramwell, Mercer County, and working its way across. That little cluster from Tazewell to Princeton is severe warned, making its way across. It'll impact I-77 here in the next 15-20 minutes. But we are on your airways because of that tornado warning that is in effect right now. Even though the storm is leaving that little warning area, we're going to give it a couple of minutes before we get off your TV screens, just to make sure that we don't have any more issues with it. But if we bring up our winds, just north of Pocahontas there, Bramwell up next, you guys are certainly going to have some issues there. We're looking for that classic tall tale sign where we get two areas of these winds, one towards the radar site and one away. They show up as different colors, green and red. And as they do, they get real tight, then they get real bright. And the brighter they are, the tighter they are, the more indicator of a tornado that you have. Since we don't have that right now, it looks like it's just going to be a very strong storm making its way through Bramwell, but I would say that is not a fun-looking storm. If you are anywhere in the vicinity, you should be inside, but if you've gotten a glimpse of it, it does not look pretty. I'll guarantee you that one. Just because the sky turns black, it's moving in all sorts of different directions. There's a lot of rain out there. It's a lot of wind out there. It gets loud. And that's the kind of storm that we've got making its way through Bramwell. Tornado warning for McDowell. The storm is now exiting that region, but we have a tornado watch that has been issued for, I would say, the entire region. There we go. Tornado watch issued for the entire region until we get to about 8 o'clock tonight. This is for all 13 counties that Storm Tracker 59 covers. It's about time, I will say, since we've had 3 tornado warnings so far towards our southern counties. But this is the kind of setup. The next line that's making its way through is this one over towards western Raleigh County and Fayette County, Nicholas County. I keep a close eye on this one because it's part of the same area as this one, and it just fired up real quick. And that's what we're going to be watching for. So Ansted, Oak Hill, Beckley, that is the storm to be watching, that line right there. Even outside of a tornado threat, we're still going to be talking about winds in excess of 30 miles per hour and gusting upwards of 35 to 40 as that line makes its way across. Torrential rainfall. We've got the flood watches in effect for Nicholas County and for northwestern Pocahontas County. So the fact that we see rain making its way to that, we could have some issues there with some localized high water. So we take one last look at the storm in Mercer County making its way across. It is tornado warned, but it is outside of the warned corridor, the warned box. And our National Weather Service friends have not extended that one over towards the east. We're just waiting for that little box to go away. But Bramwell, Princeton, Bluefield, you are going to have a very energetic storm making its way to you here momentarily. Even without the tornado warning, I would say this is not a storm to play with. I would make sure that you're in your home now. If you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on our website, this is a good time, especially if you're mobile. Excuse me. Especially if you're mobile, to make sure that you're finding that good, safe place. Again, we were talking about earlier, if you're out and about, what do you do? If you're at Walmart, if you're at Lowe's, if you're at the gas station, where do you go when you have a tornado-warned storm making its way to you? The best and only advice is to find as many walls to put between you and the outside. For a gas station, that's typically a bathroom. For Walmart, it's typically the center of the storm or up against a reinforced wall, not the drywall walls that they have, more of a cinder block wall, things like that. Look for those areas when you're in a store, especially when you're talking about severe weather. But again, that might be more prevalent for folks over towards Princeton. Bluefield, this storm is going to cut you just towards the north. You'll still hear the thunder, the lightning. You'll still get quite a bit of wind out of that little line that's making its way through. But the core of this, the strongest part of this particular thunderstorm making its way through Freeman, is going to work its way over towards Princeton. And that's going to be the one that we're going to be watching for. So it looks like we're holding tough on that tornado warning off towards the west. The storm is completely out of the warned region, but it continues to kick over towards the east, over towards Princeton. But again, severe thunderstorm warning for Mercer County and Tazewell County, and that is going to go for those 50-mile-an-hour radar indicated up to 60-mile-an-hour winds that are making their way across with that particular cell. We'll also be watching for the storms up towards Beckley, up towards Oak Hill. We've got Mullins, that little storm. This guy was tornado warned. Look how fast he went away. That is also in part due to our radar showing that a little bit there. But Mullins getting a little thunderstorm action there. The storm probably looks pretty interesting if you're out there looking at it. But as we get up towards 64, if you're taking the turnpike today, that storm is making its way through. That's going to work its way over towards Fayette County. 61. Anybody has gone through 61, Deepwater, and all of that. Those are the kinds of areas where you really got to watch out for, especially when we start talking about these big bursts of rain that make their way across. Those backcountry, windy mountain roads, all of that runoff from those mountains coming off those roads can really cause some issues, especially if you go around those big turns that West Virginia likes to do. I don't know why we put in 127-degree turns in this state, but we do just to get around a mountain, but it's a blind corner. So you come around that too fast and then you run into a runoff issue where the water's coming off the mountain and over the roadway. You can slide off the road. And in some cases in that area, you can slide off the road a couple of 100 feet. So in this area, especially when we start talking about these pop-up heavy downpour thunderstorms and already saturated grounds, it's just a good idea to take it slow today. But again, the tornado warning over towards McDowell, still holding tough till 1:45. I guess they're just going to let that expire on its own. But the storm itself is over towards Bramwell, making its way into Mercer County, just north of Bluefield, working its way towards Princeton. It is not tornado warned in Mercer County. It is severe warned in Mercer County, and that's for up to 60-mile-per-hour radar indicated winds making their way across. If we can bring up the Princeton camera, we might get an interesting look as we start to get up underneath the anvil of this storm. And that is a pretty good indicator that a storm is making its way from the west towards the east. Gives you that idea, those dark, menacing clouds. But we're going to bounce right back over to the radar, give you an idea of the storm here. It'll be making its way over towards Princeton, Bluefield, Athens, and working its way across the I-77 corridor. Here momentarily for Tazewell County, we've got that severe warned storm. That's going to continue to work its way over towards the east. And since the National Weather Service has the tornado warned storm allowing to expire at 1:45, we are going to end our broadcast since we've given it a couple of minutes this time. And that is going to be the aspect here. If it flares back up again, we'll of course break in for our friends in Mercer County. We will be joining you over on Facebook if you'd like to join us there. You can get the latest updates on your forecast for the entire day at Storm Tracker 59. But for now, we're going to turn you back over to your regularly broadcast It's regular scheduled broadcast. And I'm going to try to figure out how I can get a drink of water. But thank you for joining me for this tornado warn coverage. Storm Tracker 59 meteorologist Bradley Wells. Have a great day.